Welcome to Spirited Straight Talk, the ultimate podcast for anyone who is ready to live a life with intention and help from spirit. I am your host, Deb Shepard, spiritual teacher, medium, and author, helping you open up to the whole enchilada, or like we like to say, the soul enchilada, so you can truly make your soul rise. So let's go. Hi everyone, this is Deb Shepard. I'm here with Dana, my partner and manager in crime. And one of my...
What do I manage your crime?
I'm just kidding. Yes, absolutely. One of my very favorite things to do in my line of work is past lives. Mm-hmm. And I've been doing it for quite some time. And it's interesting because a lot of what happens in past lifetimes we carry through in this lifetime. So for some people that they're not sure if they agree or believe in it, that's totally okay. But when I do a session for somebody, it will bring up so many different ahas for them to go, oh, this is why of this, and this is my relationship with so-and-so. And I know you and I have had a past life. We've talked about this where you were a male.
I was.
And did you send me over earlier, I think, our
session? When I saw this past life, we did a past life meditation and regression, I think. And there were a few of us in that class that you were teaching. And I saw this particular past life. I was a male, and I believe in Europe somewhere. I was a banker, and I could clearly feel and see myself walking down the street, and I was wearing like coattails, almost like it was I had a top hat on, very business, yeah. And I knew that I had sent you across to the New World, I guess, or the Americas, to set up a life here, and I was going to travel shortly after to meet you here. And I drowned on the way here. You were here already, so you made it, but I drowned, which has explained, actually thinking about this right now, it explains why I'm so protective of certain things when it comes to you, our relationship. Hopefully I don't overprotect, but I do know that I can be protective of certain things around us because of that, and around you in particular, I think, because of that.
She left me.
I did leave you.
Took all the money. No. You know what it also explains? Dana and I love going to the ocean, but we never want to go into the ocean. So being on a boat, or people want to snorkel or scuba dive, we're like, no, just,
nope, I'm fine. I'll just watch it.
give me my cocktail. Let me sit there on the beach. So
I'm gonna watch it from afar.
Yeah. But for those that may not understand how I do this, I want to kind of explain what I do when I go into doing a past life. And a lot of it is that people do regressions, but I find that I just go into what's called the Akashic Records, and I download information that shows me the lifetimes, usually 3 to 4 lifetimes, of what you need to know in this lifetime. So you've had more, but these are the ones that come through to kind of validate.
So only the lifetimes that pertain to what you're experiencing in this lifetime is really what
comes through.
Okay.
And I just trust what comes through from my guides. And if you're not familiar with the Akashic Records, it's basically a hall of records. Think of it as the Social Security office or the IRS, some kind of location that keeps all these records and data. And we teach how to go into those records in our classes and things like that.
Yeah, the meditation you do for that, people actually envision this building and describe it.
Everyone describes it the same building.
Which is crazy because we're not even in the same, especially with COVID. We're doing the meditation separately.
Correct.
But people will then say, this is what I saw, and it's always the same building.
And they go, I felt I'd been there before, it felt familiar.
Yeah.
So, and for me, it's just a different way of helping people on their journey here, because I do a lot of teaching and I do readings and things like that, but it does a lot of healing. One of the stories, and you were with me, this was not a session that was scheduled, but we had some friends here from after a class, and I think we were having some wine or brandy or something. And one of the friends in the class, she had stayed with us, and she has had stomach issues for years.
She's a student, yeah.
But she had stomach issues for a very long time, where she has to watch her clean diet. She has to be near a restroom, just all kinds of things because of her digestive system. And all of a sudden, as we're sitting there, I said, I'm seeing a past life here. And she goes, okay. And because I would never just do it.
Right.
So I started doing her past life. And everything that started coming through was about what she was dealing with in this lifetime when it came to her health and her relationship with her father. And she said from that time on, and this is last year, before COVID, so probably like February or something. I don't know, December? Can you remember what it was?
It was a few months before COVID. I think it was like September, October of 2019 when you did this reading.
And as I follow up with her, because she's become a friend, she has not had these health problems since. She was able to understand it, line it all up, and go, oh, okay. And
there was some really unique stuff that came through, though.
I don't remember all of it. Do you remember?
Can I share?
Yeah, please.
So I remember you telling her that she was pregnant in this lifetime that you were seeing, that came through, that she was pregnant, but her husband was like a Viking, would go off and conquer whatever he needed to conquer and then come back. But she fell in love with her husband's brother. And her husband's brother is her father in this lifetime. But she fell in love with him. They had not done anything in that relationship, but they did love each other. Well, her husband came back and saw their energy together and decided that he believed they had an affair. And he actually removed the baby from her womb, which was opening up her stomach, and he had a hold of her hair. And he cut her hair off. And she was born in this lifetime missing a patch of hair. Just missing a complete patch of hair in that spot. We didn't know any of this. You didn't know any of this. But after you did the reading, she said, oh, my God. And then she shared what she had been going through in this lifetime.
Correct.
And that was a big piece of it. But she completely lost her voice. In this lifetime, she hasn't had a voice, hasn't been able to set boundaries at all. And I guess you had said that her husband had killed her by strangulation or cutting her throat at that time. So this would have been, back
in the Vikings,
in the Viking era. Yeah. So obviously not, anything like what we would see today. But all that came through.
And the thing, I'll tell you this: while Dana was sitting there was a few of us there. And I don't sometimes remember. There's occasions where I really recall everything, and then as Dana is now telling me, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that. But to go back and,
Yeah, well, God, I can't imagine. You've done over 50,000 readings, so, for you to be able to remember all those details. But this stuck out to me. I don't sit in readings, so I don't remember them like you, but I was just going, oh my God, this is incredible. All the stuff that came through, and that she validated with what's going on, because you helped her tie it all together.
Yeah. And that's what I usually do in a session, is I look at those relationships and your health and things like that. I remember one of my martial arts instructors, we did a session, and of course he had clothes on, but I kept seeing a sword go through his chest to the other side. And he showed me then a birthmark had right where I kept pushing right here in the middle of my chest, clear to the back, and there was this birthmark showing that. He goes, I never, it's really weird. It's like a scar more than even a birthmark that came through in this lifetime.
Wow.
So a lot of it is just these relationships you have. Maybe there was a challenge with a certain particular person and you still have it in this lifetime. And you're like, why is this so challenging? And so the past lifetimes help. One of my favorite stories, and I do remember this one. And we did it on the phone. Of course, this is during the pandemic. Know very little about her. And as I'm doing her session, one of the lifetimes that came through is that she was in Asia, and her parents taught her to know lots of different languages, like 2 or 3 languages, 4 languages. But they knew that her being a girl, she would not have opportunities. So they basically wrapped her breast so they were flat.
Oh, they bound them down.
They bound them down and cut her hair.
I've heard stories like that. They really did that stuff.
And she was able to work for royalty, so they knew that she'd have more opportunities there and be taken care of. And she was a translator.
So she pretended she was a boy.
To be able to have this opportunity. Well, in this lifetime, she has had breast cancer. And she went to school to be a
Linguist? Wow.
And I don't know anyone that's ever gone to school for that.
Yeah.
And as I started talking to her about her relationships and her other lifetimes, she goes, oh, and then was able to validate these things. And I'm just like, wow. So again, that healing of the breast cancer, and now she's fine, she's recovered, and hopefully never comes back. But again, it makes more sense when you look at that past lifetime into this lifetime and what it means.
So are there like some top things that come through as validations? Like what would you say are things that you can bring forward, like some of the top things that you can bring forward that indicate it may be from a past life?
Well, I think most people know. I know when I went to Florence, Italy, I don't know if this is what you're asking, but I remember going, this feels really familiar. You know, something here looks like I know where streets were. And I know when my son went to Rome, he had never studied, the Colosseum or Romans or anything like that. He knew where everything was. So I think there's a familiar feeling. And we've all met somebody and we've gone, God, I know you. And it's the first time in this lifetime that you've met them. And you're like, I know you. I feel this kindred energy.
Yeah.
And who knows how long it will last, but those are the things that will... you'll just know. You'll just have it. And I think food, I think certain people like certain types of clothing or music, and I think it has to do with a lot of past lives, especially if you're raised one way, but you like something that's very different than what your culture was.
Raised. Wow. What about fears?
Oh, yes, fears. That's what you're probably talking about. Yeah, well, you and I talked about we don't like the ocean. We want to see the bottom of the pool.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people will talk about, they're afraid of heights. They're afraid of, I don't like wearing turtlenecks or tight clothing. And there is no doubt in my mind I was probably a witch that was probably hung or something in people's lifetimes. And so you look at what people wear and what they choose to do and what makes them feel safe. And normally it's because of things that happen to them, and usually their death of a past lifetime. One I do remember, very open-minded lady, and she says, I have a fear of being alone when I die. And she goes, I know there's an afterlife. I know that I'm going to be fine. She goes, that's not the problem, but it's dying alone. So in her past life, she had been a Christian and was put into prison with other people. And of course, I'm thinking of the prisons that are like dungeons more than that, wet with,
like
rats
stone,
and ice,
dungeons
type, and dark. And she was there with other people. Well, everyone else had died before her. And she was the last one, and so she died alone. So when she was able to get that understanding, if that was the fear about it, she goes, okay, I'm fine.
So tell us what the Akashic Records, what it feels like when you visit the Akashic Records or the Hall of Records. Is it envisioning it in your mind?
Yeah, it feels, I always feel like it's in a place of peacefulness. It always looks like a place on earth to me. It looks like this huge, beautiful building, And I always see marble steps with columns, so that kind of a feel. But when I walk in, there are windows, and it's sort of almost like dusty kind of a feeling, like you would see in an old library probably or something like that, where light comes in and you can kind of see the dust flying around a little bit. And then I'm drawn to usually a particular room or space, and I used to go and just like try to read the book or, whatever. And now I just get it downloaded. They just start showing me images of different things. One of my clients, and you know him, his name is Mike, and he came to do his past lives and just came to me. So this will make some sense too. And I started giving him his past lives, and he started laughing. He goes, I said, what? He goes, I did my DNA, and I'm from all those places you talked about.
Oh, wow.
So his DNA verified all the past lives, which is just another kind of twist and turn and fun kind of thing to think about.
That's interesting. Mm-hmm. So you go into the Hall of Records. You say you used to go into this Hall of Records and actually read it.
I pull out these
but
books.
Now they just show you what you need. They get you there quicker.
Yeah. I just feel like it's like turning the switch on because, after more than 20 years, you kind of take the shortcuts. It's like, do we have to go through all those procedures? But when I teach it, that's what I do to get people comfortable and feel familiar of reading their records.
And I've done that meditation, and you do feel like I've been here a lot of times.
Did it feel
like you
comfortable?
Feel, yeah, it's definitely comfortable. It feels like, oh yeah, I remember this place. I've been here before. Mm-hmm. So we review basically our lifetimes and figure out
what's next.
Right.
I think it really helps to know your past lifetimes if you have stuff that's just really challenging. For instance, it could be your relationship or your health or your career. I know when people have struggled with not getting finances, I recall, this is a long time ago, but I'm recalling this where they were really judged for having money. And I think there was probably some sort of death regarding getting the money and things like this time. So there was a lot of guilt.
In this lifetime for somebody.
No, they had, in their past life, they had earned a lot of money, but it was through not really good ways.
Okay.
So they had a lot of guilt, and so in this lifetime, they just struggled getting any kind of money. And when they realized that this was a past life, it helped the block going, I don't have to feel guilty for having money because I'm not earning it the way I did then.
Oh, so there was some sort of block in this lifetime they couldn't get past.
Right.
Well, I would imagine a lot of people have certain things like that. So going into your past life information to figure out what those blocks are.
Yes. And whether it's someone's career or their relationships or they're trying to heal something, it's really fun for me because it's going out of some of the grief work that we normally do. And people begin to get tools and start to heal and realize that they have done nothing wrong. It's not karma, or they're not cursed, or they're not doing it wrong, but just understanding what they brought through this time that they're carrying. It's like a bad memory,
Why do you think we carry it through that way? Is it because we're still working through those issues, or
we're still working
is it our
through
contracts?
Yes, I think the contracts mean that we are working through it, but that's why I don't see every single one of your lifetimes, because you're not carrying every single lifetime with you. Mm-hmm. You're bringing through the ones that you're still working on or that you want to address in this lifetime.
So we're talking about your soul contracts, your life purpose, soul contracts, which hopefully at some point we'll talk about that in a podcast, but this is a class you teach. So when I bring up contracts, it's really, we decide what we want to learn in this lifetime, and we make agreements with our soul group to learn those lessons.
Become more enlightened.
So do we have all the same people in every lifetime?
No. I think we have some lifetimes where we have different folks in. I mean, I can't imagine every person I've ever met in my lifetime was in a previous lifetime. But I do feel like we have moments where we bring those people through. However, some of those really bonded relationships, positive and negative, I believe we do bring through in the lifetime. But again, you may have had a lifetime where they weren't in part of your life. You had other people that would show up for you. And that's why I get those 3 or 4 lifetimes to say, these are the people that you're working with again. And it's kind of fascinating. Some of the personality traits. I think there's also a lot of forgiveness that's given for yourself and for the other people. I think it helps you understand and you're drawn to particular things that you enjoy. And I think this is because of your experiences in another lifetime. Like you and I love the beach. Mm-hmm. Just keep it right over there.
The water can stay on its side of the beach.
That's right. So anyway, if if you want to, some people have had their own experiences or they want to do a regression. If you're really not trusting your intuition, I would encourage people to have a reading with somebody, hopefully myself, that will help you understand those lifetimes. But think of those moments in your life where you've had like a flashback or you've seen something, even a movie, and you go, why does that feel familiar? Or it creates anxiety or pleasure or different things. Those are probably hints about a past lifetime. And I know when I've done these readings, people actually say, that makes a lot of sense. Now I get this. And I remember one more. This is a woman probably last year that I did, 2020. And I am doing the session with her, and I'm seeing her being fearful of horses. I mean, horribly fearful. When a past lifetime, she was sort of forced to ride a horse. Like, okay, you gotta do this. Well, she gets, I think, bucked off and hit in the head, and it kills her. She was so excited about telling her friends and family. That was the reason why she was afraid of horses.
Okay, so she just was inherently born afraid of horses.
And they go, you never had any experience? She goes, I don't know what it is. I'm just afraid of horses. And, she's not asking me that. What's her fear? I'm just telling her that this is what's coming through.
Right.
And she was really relieved. Like, it took off pressure. Like, okay, I'm not crazy. It really does make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So that feeling of being afraid of horses was definitely a past lifetime.
So they've done like shows on past lifetimes.
Yes.
And one of them that we always share in classes and with people is about a little boy. They documented it, and we watched the follow-up on that Surviving Death series that's on Netflix. It was a little guy who had experiences as a child seeing himself crashing.
Did he have like night terrors?
Night terrors and
like 3 or 4?
Yeah, and multiple night terrors, but he would talk about his friend who died and the plane crashing into the ocean, and that he was Japanese. No, he was American, but he was fighting the Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
And he died. His plane went down. So he died in his 20s. And it's such a cool story. And when you see the follow-up, too, he doesn't remember because they did a ceremony to basically release that. Mm-hmm. And he released it.
They were able to validate. I mean, he looks like
his
the same
sister,
person. His sister that's still living.
His sister that's still living validated all the information that he was sharing.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just fascinating.
And this is a sister from the previous life.
From the previous life, yeah.
So one question I get asked a lot is, do they reincarnate earlier? When do they reincarnate? There are these cases that you can find online or people talk about. Like, I remember when my daughter was little, like you said, we forget about it as we age, but when she was little, she used to say, yeah, I was your mommy. And there's no doubt she probably was. And she goes, yeah, I was taking you somewhere in the wagon or whatever. And so, but now she would not remember that. But the belief system for Buddhism is they believe that you reincarnate in 44 days. And that's not something that I think is literal. It's like the Bible says the earth was created in a day and things like that. I think there's a It's a metaphor of something. And when you look at the number 4 and 4, it equals out to be 8, which to mine, that's like an infinity sign. Like, it can happen any time. I don't believe that most of us jump here right away. I think a lot of us take our time coming back. And between the pandemic and other things that's happened in our planet, we've had a lot of people leave. And I think there's other spiritual reasons for that, unfortunately. But I don't think that we reincarnate that quickly. I think it takes time. I don't think most of us are in a hurry to come back and say, oh, let me do this again. But it does happen. It has happened. I think when you understand your past lives a little bit more, it feels like you have the ability to manage things more. Like, if you know you're allergic to something, you're not going to eat that item, or you're not going to be in a place that you're allergic to. So this is sort of the same thing. If you realize that you haven't had a voice in this lifetime, or it's been difficult to create boundaries, when you look at these other lifetimes, it will give you permission that it's okay, that the fear you have of using your voice, it's not because of this lifetime. There may be things that's happened, but you're here to really learn to have it. So the more you understand what is keeping you in this lifetime to find that joy and happiness and all those things that we all desire, is getting that information so it doesn't hold you back another lifetime.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. Don't hold us back.
Don't hold us back. Let's move forward. You know, one of the other things I really feel is that many lifetimes, someone who may have been all male in several lifetimes, and this lifetime they're born as a female, but it's really hard for them to identify with it because they've had so many lifetimes of being a male. And I see this with even a gay relationship where someone is very masculine, but they're interested in the same sex. So I really feel like those past lives carry on into this lifetime, and why they're thinking to themselves, I don't feel like this person. And when I've done some readings regarding people's lifetimes, I'll say, you've only been a male, or you've only been a female.
Wow.
And a lot of times we choose both sides. And I've seen it where,
yeah, for sure. I know I've been both multiple times.
Yeah.
I feel like I carry energy
for both.
Of both.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And I also have seen people that came into this lifetime that were suppressed in a previous lifetime for being a woman. In this lifetime, they come through and they become an attorney, or they become a person that wants to make the rights for women, or whatever the topic can be. And it's very fascinating to see how many lifetimes they were and why they came through in this lifetime and the choice that they made. I just think that's fascinating. And like you said, they'll carry the clothes they wear, how they do their hair, just the jobs they decide to do, the sports they decide to do, kind of relate to that lifetime.
It's weird. I know I'm very feminine in
Lots of ways.
But I can also figure stuff out. You know, I'll cut some boards. That's fine. I can do that.
Oh my goodness, she'll do it, and I'm like, within 30 seconds, I'm frustrated and throw a fit, and she just takes it and figures it out, and works like carrying stuff like a man does. And
what?
Yes.
No, I can't.
Yeah,
I'm
you
not
do.
that man. I'm not that. I would say.
But she's very sexy and beautiful. You'll have to see her pictures. But
Oh, you're
anyway,
cute.
just hopefully this is some food for thought for people to look at other people in a different way, and look at yourself and your own journey in a way that might open some doors to, hey, maybe that's something I need to learn about.
And there's more. There's always more.
There's always more.
There's always questions and more things you can learn. So this is definitely a cool subject.
Yes. Okay. Thanks for
Awesome.
joining us once
Thanks
again.
for joining us. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Spirited Straight Talk. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you subscribe so that you get notified of new shows. We'd also love it if you'd leave us a review. And let's connect. Visit debshepard.com for more insights, support, workshops, and to book a session with Deb. Plus, enter to get a free reading with Deb. All you have to do is sign up for the email list and you'll automatically be entered. Just go to debshepard.com. That's DEBSHEPPARD.com.